Hello everyone. This is it's week 11, which would be November 16th to November 20th. And then we also have a couple of days the following week on the Monday and Tuesday. Those are before Thanksgiving. So those of you who have art on Monday and Tuesday, you're going to get 2 weeks to finish this. But you can finish it at your leisure. What we're doing today is adding the pastel color to our pumpkins that we did last week. If you remember, we practiced drawing a contour line drawing of pumpkins overlapping each other. And then we drew it with Elmer's glue on black paper. You should have done that last week. And then this week, your black paper will have the glue all dried on your pumpkins. Today we're going to be adding pastel to our drawings, to our line drawings. What you're going to need is chalk pastels. Whoops, they're falling all over. Chalk pastels. If you don't have them, you can use oil pastels or crayons. But I'm doing it with pastels, and we're going to be doing it with pastels in school today, in the classroom. Let me just move this over. So, we're going to start with a couple of things. You have your box of pastels, which is like a chalk substance that has the pigment that's in the chalk. Oil pastels have a more oily pigment. And I have a wet face cloth. It's just slightly damp, not very, very wet, because you don't want it dripping all over. You can use, let's say we're going to start with an orange, because pumpkins are orange. But you don't have to do an orange. You can do it any way you want. You might want to break off a little piece. And you're going to gradually apply the pastel to your pumpkin. Try to keep it within the lines, your glue lines. And you can always blend it with your fingers. You can use the tip of it. And we're just doing some lines. We're not scrubbing back and forth, because when you scrub back and forth like that, it just makes a mess. I want you to be deliberate with where you apply your chalk pastel. So there would be one section. Perhaps I'd like to give it a little bit of a highlight. Yeah, I could do that with white, or I could do it with a little... I'm using like the edge that's flat. And you can just gently blend it in with your finger. I'll do the next section. I think you'll get the idea. Maybe this one I'll make a little darker. I'll add some red to it. Maybe I'll add a little shadow at the top in red. And you can gradually build up your colors. Maybe the next section I'll start here. Maybe this is a wider section, so I'm going to use the side of my pastel for my application. Now remember, we're not scrubbing back and forth with it. You're just going to apply a nice even line. Maybe I'll add a little bit of yellow to that. And gently rub it with your finger. If the light was coming from here, the highlight would be on the right side of the pumpkin, because remember, the pumpkins are rounded. You can gradually add your highlights, which is where your light is shining on your pumpkin. And you can gradually add your shadows, which would be the darker side. Would likely be darker on the bottom because the sunlight would be less likely to hit there. Okay, I have one more section to do. I'm just going to do one pumpkin, but you're going to do all three. So notice how I'm using my finger to blend it gradually. I want to wipe off my finger and just get that little bit off of there. You'll see it comes off pretty easily. You could take your time. Sometimes you like to add a little pink to it, which looks nice, or a peach color. You can get creative with it. You don't even have to do them orange. If you would like to do one in like a green color or blue and just kind of experiment with it, you can do that. Okay, I have my one pumpkin done. All right, the next thing you're going to do is those vines. Remember we drew those vines in? I like to do them in green. You can do them in any color you like. And if you have those loop-de-loops here, you could just fill those in gradually. The stems can be done in brown or green or any color you like. Let me grab this one out. I'm going to break a little piece off. Oops. And I'm going to do the stem in brown. You might want to put a little white in it. Just a little bit, not too much. Then you have the bottom here. You can do that as like a patch of green grass. You could do it in a brown to give it like a light brown, as if it were hay that the pumpkins were resting on. If you wanted to do a sky, you could do that around in your negative space. If you wanted to, you could make it green and brown, which would kind of give it an earthy look. Maybe I'll put some brown in there. Now, when you're working, try not to touch the pastel where the chalk is touching the paper, because it will smear. So if you notice, I'm holding it where there's no pastel. At the end, if you do have fingerprints on it, they can usually wipe off pretty easily, or you can use an eraser to get them off. Okay, so that's part of it. You're going to take your time. There's my beautiful pastel pumpkin. Okay, and you will fill in all your areas. Again, try not to touch the black paper. Try not to touch the pastel and get it on your fingers and then spread it around. A lot of times children will be working on it and leaning on it. Keep your hand off of the paper as you work, like so. See how my hand isn't touching? You don't want to rest your wrist on there like that. Okay, so have some fun with it. If you are in person, you don't have to do a flip grid, but if you're working home on Wednesdays or if you're absent for some reason, you can do a flip grid and show me what you did. They really come out beautiful. You know, maybe I'm going to put a little blue sky in there. Let's see how that would look. Just for an idea. And you don't have to fill in the whole background. You could just put a little bit in, just to give it a little background color. Or you could leave it black. That's totally up to you. Okay, so I hope you enjoy it. I would recommend that you wear like an old shirt or a smock, because the chalk pastel does get kind of messy. Just be aware of what you're touching. When you're finished, We spray it with, it's as a fixative. It's called a fixative, and that makes the chalk adhere to the paper. But you know what's a good fixative that you can use at home? Is hairspray. When you spray it, you're going to keep a distance and put just like a thin coating of hairspray on it. And that will keep the chalk on the paper. Try not to hold it in one place. It's got to be a very light, even coating of hairspray. Okay, so I hope you have a great week. I hope you have a beautiful Thanksgiving. And I'll see you after the holiday. And I want you to know I'm very grateful to have you all as my students. And I hope you have a lot of things to be grateful for in your life, too. See you soon, guys. Bye. Mm-hmm.